you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So for today's appointment, I'd like to do some nutritional counseling. And what that means is talking about the diet diary that I had you complete, as well as talk about how that relates to your current state of oral health. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So I'd like to ask you a few questions to start with. What do you know about Canada's food guide?
Well, I know it's a guideline of what kind of foods you should be eating throughout your meals and like portions and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're on the right track. With Canada's food guide, what they recommend for a meal is having half of your plate be fruits and vegetables, a quarter of it being protein and dairy products, and another quarter of it being whole grain products such as like bread and pasta, and having them be whole grains. Okay?
Okay.
And with the Canada's food guide, we'll be looking at different recommendations that they have and how we think that we can perhaps modify or incorporate that into your diet. Okay?
Okay.
And looking at your diet diary, would you say that you have a healthy diet?
I think I could be healthier.
And what changes would you want to make?
Probably just eating more fruits and vegetables overall.
Yes.
Less processed food.
So you're definitely on the right track with the Canada's food guide and their recommendations. It does say to eat plenty of vegetables and fruits and incorporating whole grain foods and protein foods. So if you're looking at your lunches that you have, you do have 2 Big Macs for every 3 days.
Yeah.
What do you think that's something you can change with?
I could probably make a homemade sandwich.
And that's a really good option. With the homemade sandwich, you can even have perhaps like a whole grain bread.
Yeah.
And maybe a side of like fruits and veggies that you could do. What kind of do you like any fruits and vegetables? What's your favorite?
I like strawberries and cucumbers.
Those are both really good options. With the strawberries, they have the vitamin C. In packing a homemade sandwich, you could also include some cold cuts, deli meats, to have that protein incorporated into your diet.
Yeah.
So the diagnosis that I have for you is the moderate gingivitis related to diet and biofilm. Second one is you're at high risk for periodontitis, and you're also at high risk for cavities related to your diet. Okay. I'll also talk further about that in a couple of my interventions, such as oral health education on the cavities process, including the gingivitis and periodontitis. And right now we are doing diet counseling as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd like to go over a couple of recommendations made by the Canada's food guide.
Sure.
One of them is eating plenty of fruits and vegetables and incorporating whole grain foods and protein foods. And I know Weirdy talks about including some strawberries or cucumbers as a snack, and perhaps even packing a homemade sandwich instead of a Big Mac. It's also a cheaper option too, so that helps.
Yeah.
And also choosing protein foods that come from plants more often. And a couple of options that you have for that is perhaps beans, peanuts, sunflower seeds, or cashews. How would you think you can incorporate that into your diet?
Well, I do like nuts, so I can like eat a handful as a snack or like a little side.
Yeah, for sure. So even as a side, that if you don't have any protein products, if say you had some oatmeal and if you were to pour some nuts on it, then that's a good protein option on that.
Nice.
And if you were to eat the Big Macs, I don't want to completely stop you from eating your Big Macs, because I understand. I like Big Macs too. You could perhaps reduce it to maybe 1 Big Mac every 3 days. Do you think that's doable?
Yeah, I could definitely do that.
Perfect. And with your Big Macs, I can see that you do drink Coke often. One of the biggest things about Coke is it's so acidic that it creates it raises the overall pH of your mouth, which relates to your development of cavities. Because it's so acidic that it allows cavities to a higher chance to develop. And the one way we can reduce that cavity risk is perhaps including or making water your choice of drink. Do you think that's something you can do?
Yeah, knowing that now, I'll definitely drink more water.
Yeah, for sure. And you already do consistently drink water. It's just making that your choice of drink, how Canada Food Guide recommends it. I also do want to talk about some food habits, such as cooking more often, being mindful of your eating habits because you do skip dinner a couple of days based off your diet diary, and perhaps even eating meals with others. How do you think you can perhaps do that?
I can definitely start trying to like cook more. I know my boyfriend likes to cook. We can probably have more dinner together. I know some of my classmates would love to have dinners together a couple days a week. So
those are all really good options, and even making your dinner at home allows you to be fully in control of what ingredients you put in. So you making sure to put in that protein that we talked about, and having those vitamin C rich things like fruits or vegetables maybe, and incorporating dairy as well. And even eating food socially helps with digestion and allows you to eat food more slowly as well. And just makes you enjoy your food much more. So I think we went over some really good modifications for those recommendations. I would like to follow up with an appointment next week and have you do another 3-day diet diary.
Okay.
And with a 3-day diet diary, I'd like to see some changes or modifications made to your diet.
Okay.
With some of the things that we talked about you would be willing to do.
For sure.
Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I think I could do that.
Yeah, that's very good. All right, so I think today was a very successful nutrition counseling session. How do you think today went?
I think it went pretty well. You told me some things that I didn't even think about, like the Coke thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I feel more informed.
Perfect. And that's our goal, to make sure that you do have a healthier choice of diet, and which allows you to have a healthier state of your oral health. All right, so thank you so much for listening today. I will see you next week.
Thank you. Have a great week.